In the deep darkness, where reality and fantasy merge into one, do you dare to enter the unknown world? So let's get to the story. My name is Aladi. I am currently studying in the second year of my honors degree. The incident I am about to share happened many years ago when I was around 10 or 11 years old. I used to live in Arizona village in Mesa. When I was in my mother's home, a strange insight happened to her. Since then my life has felt somewhat different. But before I get into that, let me describe our village. It was very beautiful place surrounded by greenery. The people were simple and kind, just like what you would imagine in our remote countryside village. Back then, we had no electricity. As soon as evening fell, people would lock their doors and stay inside. By 7 or 8 o'clock, the village would be engaged in completely darkness. The day the incident happened, it was a Saturday. I was still in my mother's home. I usual around 7 in the evening. My mother stopped out of our house was was advised not to go out. In the condition, she had no choice since no one was around to help her. The turf wheel he had a quiet part located at the very end and our house premises. Right next to it, there was a well. During the summer, the water left in well would drop so much that I become different for my mother for each water from it. That's why I preferred to get water from the trouble wheel instant. The trouble wheel was a struggle under the when my mother was fleeing the water in the night was pitch dark. Suddenly she felt as if someone was laughing, a step, gaining giggle coming from the base of the hazel tree. The ceiling sound in the deep darkness made her blood run cold. Before she could finally grasp that was happening, she was instantly under the hedge toward the tree's base. To her astonishment, he saw a small child sitting her, turning at her with a eerie smile, laughing in her understanding manner. My mother initially thought it might be child from the neighborhood, but how would a child become there at house? She called out, "A little boy, where is our home?" She called again, "She child, where do you live?" But the boy didn't respond. He just kept staring at her, smiling. Then all of the sound, my father saw the child transform into something terrifying. A mysterious finger emerged before her eyes. The sight was too terrifying that she was lost consciousness on the spot. Later, when my family could not find her when searched near the turf, Willie discovered her lying to the unconsciousness. This was the strange incident what happened before I was born. After I was born, I heard that I would always stay upward. Everyone used to say this child might have skewed. My family grew uncoordinated and took me level cerebral pretend hairless master of treatment. Since childhood, I always wore numerous elopement around my neck. One of my uncles brought a special emerald from a well-known distance master. He strictly advised me that I should never remove it under any condition. Life continued like my father worked in New York and would visit home on our tours a month. At home it was just my mother and rest of the family and me. That night was a dark new moon night. I still remember clearly it was a Saturday, just like the day of my mother's incident. After school, I turned home late in afternoon. I watched up at something that started downly. Soundly my mother come and sighed, "Come let a applying oil to your hair." While oiling my head, she suddenly asked, "Where is your big amulet tartlet?" I touched my neck and realized that the amulet was missing. Surprise. I said, "Maybe it fell off somewhere." My mother became furious upon hearing this, but I still had no idea what was about to happen to me that night. For years, nothing usual had happened to me, so I never really worried about losing the amulet. I dismissed any thought. It just happened around midnight, maybe 11 or 1 a.m. Usually when my father was not home, I would sleep in my mother's room, but that night, for some reason, I chose to sleep in my own room. On the pitch black moonless night. I suddenly felt as if someone was hard palming the turf wheel outside. At first I thought who would be using to trouble wheel at this hour. The second was so loud that it woke up me. I wondered if it was my mother. For a moment I continued calling out to her, but then I thought it might be someone for neighboring. But instantly the sound just would not stop. I continued etching through the silent night. Then all of a sudden, in the completely vision I saw, still listening clearly. That's when I felt in someone was standing right outside my window. I could not see anything, but I was should clearly respond. A few moments later, I heard something even more chilling, a sport. Muffled rolling, the sound was coming from night outside any window. For a moment, I thought could it be my mother, but my voice I felt unfair. Something about it was not right. The crying gradually grew louder and more instant. By then I entered body and I had turned it. I scolded with fear. I wanted to scream for my mother, but I was terrified that I could not muster the courage to call out. After what felt like an eternity, a subbling spot, silence, completely silence, and just like that somehow that night passed. I heard the incident call to Pierre. The ear crying had stopped. The sound of trouble too had vanished. The next morning, I got up and went to school without mentioning anything to any mother. However, in the evening, curiosity got the better for me, and I asked her, "Did you fetch water last night?" She looked at me and perched. "No, I didn't," she replied. I hesitated for a moment, then said, "But I heard someone roaming the trap wheel all night, and someone was sobbing night outside my window." Hearing this, my mother's face turned place almost bloodless. She stared at me for a moment before saying in firm voice, "Tonight you are sleeping in my room." I quickly agreed. Later that night, while I was eating dinner, my father suddenly arrived unexpectedly. He wasn't surprised to come home. Surprised, I asked, "Why are you here?" "There's been some trouble in Newark. The office will be closed for a while, so I decided to come home." Hearing this, I felt I wave a revealing wish of her father was home. Somehow his parents made feel safe. But since he was back, I had to sleep in my own room again. The fear crept back into my head, but lost look over, and I eventually fell asleep. Something deep into the night, I heard it again, that some moffat right outside my window. I was slowly in my fear and whispered, "Who is crying out there?" Silence. No response, but I would felt it. However, was crying was in very deep pain, as if crying unbearable. After while my internet room became filled with a full suffering. It was no incense that I felt as if any inside should spill out. A creeping terror took hold of me. Something was about to happen, something horrifying. The traveling outside groundly felt, but the smell only grew danger. Then I felt it. Something was moving repeatedly. My bed. I darting back and forth. A wave icy fear unconscious thought me. It was summer. With body was trembling if I was freezing. My fear stood on end. I pulled the blanket over myself and shaped my eyes, steadily waiting, hoping for me this midnight to end. I went to scream for my mother, but when I opened my mouth, no sound came out. It was as if my voice had been stopped. Then I felt it. Something I scolded touched my foot. It felt like a hand coated deep in self, soundly, and began to pass down on my foot. Then suddenly I started pulling me. I would feel myself beginning dragged toward to feel darkness under the bed. I don't remember how long I entered it. The fear was too overhauling. At some point, everything went back. When I woke up, I was in my father's arms. I entered house, was awake, fine with people, even though it was early 3 or 3:30 a.m. Everyone had. I later learned that my mother woke up fast, hearing my muffling eyes, followed by my father. They searched me, entered room, but found nothing. But then they noticed something chilling. 5 large fingernail marks on my felt foot. The bracelets were so deep that they recommended for almost the week. The skin turned red, then darkened to a sickly black. After that incident, my father took me to immaterial uncle's house for some time. Then 2 years later, we moved to our new home in Savur. Although no one ever told me, I actually and asked me. I overheard my mother and uncles whispering, saying that something had me all night. Even today, I don't know what it was, but sometime when I remember that night, I still hold her. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more story. Thank you.